At the very start, we would take the entire universe, the ASX 300, and apply a few very high-level quantitative screens or metrics, like looking for stocks that have underperformed the index in recent times, stocks which have maybe a low price to earnings ratio or a low price to book ratio, but still decent returns on equity or decent earnings growth. And once we incorporate all of those metrics into the analysis, we can filter the universe down to a handful of stocks, which we would then want to do a bit more detailed work on.
In addition to quantitative factors, we also take into account qualitative factors. It is often when there's negative sentiment and bad news surrounding a company that interesting opportunities arise.
We do our own research. All our analysts are independent thinkers. We try and get them to look at stocks independently, and our biggest focus is making sure that we avoid groupthink.
Our first step is to compare the level of free cash flow over time required to be generated by the company at the current share price for it to be cheap.
So we study a company's fundamentals by really trying to understand how the business makes money, what the underlying economics of the business are, how the cash flows into and out of the business, and we overlay that with deep research into the company's financials. We have regular meetings with management, typically every 6 months when they report their results, but sometimes in between as well. And we try going into those meetings not to be swayed by management's I guess, positive take on the company's prospects. We're really looking for facts around the fundamentals which help us to firm up our view of the value of the company.
For a stock idea in which an analyst has a high level of conviction, a detailed report will be written up. The report will be presented to a policy group meeting at which all of the analysts will debate the investment hypothesis and vote on whether or not we take a position in the company.
Companies don't operate in a vacuum, and political and economic factors need to be taken into consideration. It's often when the market's concerned about these sorts of issues that it throws up opportunities. And as long as you have a focus on the long term and not the short term, that can provide opportunities for us.
Geopolitical factors can impact different companies differently depending on where they export to and from and their supply chains. Additionally, political factors can play a role if the company is likely to be subject to changing regulation or changing legislative requirements.
I think the easiest way to answer this is to focus on the value of all companies. It doesn't matter whether a company is a coal miner or is some technological enabler of a decarbonized future. All companies are worth the present value of the future cash flows they will derive. And so if one uses earnings as a proxy for those cash flows, the sustainability of those earning streams is absolutely essential in calculating, and it should therefore not be a surprise that that is core to our processes.
ESG risk analysis is integrated at every stage of our investment decision, just like all other risks to companies' future cash flows. We consider ESG at the research stage. We also consider ESG risks over the course of an investment, and we take out voting rights very seriously.
I think our competitive advantage is the behavioural mindset that we bring to investing, and this manifests in 3 ways. First of all, it's the unpleasant hunting ground that we spend our time searching in. It's here that you're most likely to find a lack of willing buyers and the best opportunities. Secondly, we bring a business owner long-term mindset to investing. This allows us to undergo periods of market volatility or share price underperformance, as long as we are convinced that the business fundamentals remain sound. Finally, we have capacity to go against the trend. This is difficult to do so emotionally. In order to facilitate this, we have a strong research process, which gives us conviction and patience.